Welcome to another session of Mulesoft Certified Developer Level 2 preparation. In this session, we're going to talk about Mulesoft customer policy. This topic will be examined very heavily in the test. So there will be at least 4 questions, 3 or 4 questions come from this topic. So as you all know that Mulesoft has an out-of-box policy and also provide a custom policy. The out-of-box policy is pretty straightforward. So when you can have when you go to API Manager, right? So you can say policy. And you want to apply policy, it'll bring up all those policies. So you must familiar all these policies: security, JWT, JSON, basic auth, etc., quality of service. We will talk about more on the policy another session. There's autumn policy, they will also examine very heavily. So you must understand how the OAuth work, for example, how the JWT work, how JSON threat protection works. But the custom policy is relative hard for a lot of developers because not every developer will encounter this situation. You need to, develop this, but it's very useful. Some of you might have used it before. Even you have used it before, the test could be tricky. When I took it, was not that hard, as I have been using this a while. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about how you're going to create a policy, how you're going to publish it, and how you're going to apply it. Because all this can be tested in the exam. So this is example of practice exam. But in the real exam, it's a little bit different. I'm going to go through this, but I think it would be nice. It's very useful. You go through the exam test. This is one of the exam tests. So basically, there are 2 policies. One policy run after another. A will run first. B will be the second. And there's an expression here, so it will ask you which is it will be. Actually, this is confusing. I will explain this. This A1 just means any logic operations. Like the best you can think about A1 is logging, a log as A1. So the answer is D. Because if this is not true, the execute next will be ignored. Actually, it will skip, so that the B will never run. We'll show this, and also I'm going to show you what happens if without this. Actually, that was exactly happened in the exam. It just A1 and the execute A2 and B. So we'll show you that. But that 2 questions, if you have this 2, you have a 50-50 chance. But you need to understand all the others. I'm going to go through this. First of all, let's get some hand-on knowledge first before I come back to the documentation and because that way you will have a better understanding. But the document is all here. I'll provide the link in the description section. I'm going to go through this, how you're going to set it up. And also there's another this is another document is very useful. And so that is pretty much we're going to talk about. So let's go through this. In order to create a custom policy, we have to update or modify our Maven settings in the setting.xml. First, we need to add in the server session, right? We need to add a server. And this, you need to remember, there are several ways to do this. One is using username and password. The other is using, there are several ways. So they talk about in this reference. So I'll add this into this, into the description. You see the easiest one is this, using username and password. So let me bring a little bit bigger here. And use the credential. The second one is access token. This typically happen if you have SSO, your organization, you cannot use your user ID password. So you have to follow exactly you cannot do anything here. It has to be like that. And here access token go here. This is the second approach. The third approach is called connected app. So this is another way. Connect app, you have to follow username is like that, and then the password like that. You have to follow exactly like this. So I'm going to talk about this probably later on in the when I go through the practical exam, because this is also tested. The question about this about the Maven setting here, it will be tested for sure. So make sure you understand how we do this. But for my example, I just using Anypoint Platform credentials here. Another setup you will need is archetype repository. So this is a profile you need to update the setting. And then once you have that, we can run this shell script. So let's do that now. So what I did, let's see here. So I create a script. Basically, it's a kind of, what I did is just a copy paste from the document. So let's bring a little bit bigger here. So this is for your purpose. So you can see that this is a script, and this is, you see this is this profile, okay? This is using that. And this is a group ID. And this is archetype group ID, and those things you have to use. You cannot change this. But there is a special, this is called group ID. We need to pay attention. And so this is, and also this is the artifact ID. So group ID, you might know this if you have done the platform architect stuff, right? So how you get that? There are two ways you can get this. One way is you can go exchange here, and you click, let's say, any of the policy. So this is the one. So let me see if I can bring it. It's bigger here. So after exchange, there will be this here. This is your organization ID. So another way is go through the access manager and look at your organization. And this is the same thing. So there are two ways you can get this organization ID. So once you have that, you can put the group ID here, version here. I will talk about this. This is also in the practice exam. So you have to use there's not a snapshot. If you use snapshot, it will fail. But in the document, in this document, they put a snapshot. This is a little bit misleading here. So you should not use it. If you use this, it will fail. Just remember that. I don't have time to demo that today, but because in the stable version, you cannot use this. So this is the documentation probably is a misleading. Anyway, so let's run this command. So, sorry. Let me close this one and make this bigger. So let's do this. If you see this, make sure you know this, right? This is executable. So just say create, be that. So now you can see what he's doing. It will ask me to enter the policy description. I can say a demo policy, something like that, and then it will ask the policy name. I'll give like a policy C. This is same as the name I put in. And then he said, just enter. So now we create the policy. This is a dummy, and you see in here. So at this moment, we're good now. So now what we can do, we can go to our studio and import the project. So import a file, and then we can do that. So this is under code policy C. Okay, you know that I have policy A, B. So you see that I have policy A, B, and the script as well. But we only see so now we say open, and remember this. Unclick this because you don't want to copy it in your workspace, and then click finish. So yeah. It will ask a perform update. Of course, we need to update. Very easy. So this moment, it's create a policy. You don't see anything. You have to go through this way. So let's take a quick look at this. Don't worry about this policy ID. Is really the name we put in here. So I always put the same thing here, just in I think it's using this policy C here. This is they inject this name anyway. So custom policy, the policy name like this, and here you see this, right? See execute policy, and what happened is after execute this policy, it did transform the response. Basically, it will set the payload. You see the transform body here? Whatever the body, it would become the hello world, and there are the new header, response header. So now let's try to test this, deploy it, so give you a feel how it works. Before I do that, so let's do this way. So make it bigger. AD policy C. All right. Let's do a Maven clean package. Always do a package first, because this is just compile and build the files. So it's pretty fast. Okay, let's make it smaller. It's all good. Now the next one we need to do deploy. Deploy this one. What happened is it will try to deploy to Exchange. Let's see what happened. So it failed, right? You see what happened here? They said 401 authorization, right? That means, what this means is that the Maven could not communicate with Anypoint Exchange. So many times you will see this. There's no need to be panic, right? So we need to go back here. Look at our POM file. Okay, so what happened is there are two places which using remember we added the setting.xml. If you look here, the deployment here, there's two servers. What happened is that in my setting.xml, I do not have this. What I have is this. So let me put here. So what I have is Anypoint Exchange. I define this. So this ID must exactly same. Let's copy here. So remember, there are two places we need to change. So one is in the plugin. So the other is in the distribution management. In reality, you'll get some failure here, but it would not affect your apply policy, But this one is critical. If you don't have this correct, this section, if you don't have this section correct, it will fail. You will get 401 at the beginning. So it's important to make sure you change this, okay? So let's now, I have saved it. So now let's try again. So before I try that, make sure, let's go back to my Exchange, right? So you can see that I have policy A, policy B, hello world, etc. But I do not have policy C, right? So let's go here and run the command again. So as you can see, this time it's already much better. So it's fairly fast. Normally it take some time, but let's refresh here. You see this? Policy C. Before was not there, right? So, okay, we deploy a policy. Now let's go to our API manager. Apply. I have deployed a Hello World API here. So you can see the policy. I apply a bunch of policy, right? So, but I can apply the policy. And when you apply the policy, you can see there's a section here called custom policy. So I have A, B, blah, blah, right? And then I'm going to apply this one. So when you apply, there's an advanced session. Remember this could be in the exam as well. So in here, you have a choice. You can apply everything, all the resources method, or you can select a method. For example, here you can say get something like that. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to apply everything. So let's apply to it. And okay, successful. And another thing you need to know for sure. You see this reorder policy. This is a very important thing as well. So you need to know how to reorder them. This could in the exam. So if you push all the way this up, this will be the order 1. They will talk about order 1, order 2. So basically they will follow this order when they execute. So make sure you know that there is a place here in the policy, you can reorder it. This kind of question can appear in the exam. So now you can see that this policy is on top. And so let's so let's go back to application. So this is my only API, right? So I have policy, I want this, okay? So first of all, I'm going to run on my local. I have a Hello World API here. This is nothing fancy. It's just I have just one method called get. So you see this. I should expect when execute this get method, I should expect this one, right? Let's see what happened. Let's run it. So there's another thing. As an advanced developer, you must know that how the policy API auto discovery ID, how the auto discovery works, right? So when you have auto discovery, right? We specify a ID. When you specify the ID, when we run this, a application or runtime will pull all the policy from API manager. So what I mean here, this is pretty important. You must understand this. So you can say apply the policy. All the policy is here. Basic auth, client ID enforcement, rate limiting, whatever, all these policies. So, and also policy C here, you see that? This, even it maybe appears late in the logging, but it doesn't mean it is the order is still it honor the how we put the order there. So what happened? You need this will appear in the exam. It will ask you how the auto discovery play here. So if you look, let's see, I have API ID. This is the API ID, okay, and so let's look at global configuration. Auto discovery. See this auto discovery here? And I put API ID here. So this ID to link the API manager and application. Use that ID to get all the policy. The question may be differently, they ask it differently, but it's asking about auto discovery, how the auto discovery works, and what will happen during the runtime. You need to remember, first, this auto discovery ID link between the API manager and Mule runtime application. Secondly, when Mule application or runtime will pull the policy to the application. So that we need to make sure we understand that. And okay, so now it's running. So let's go back here. So API. Oh, another thing is you might know that when it's active, is here is active. Okay, so that's good now. Now let's run it and see what happened. So yeah, I already run it before, but let's rerun it. See, now it's hello world. Let's look at the header. You see this new header, hello world. So that was how we apply the policy. So that means the policy is working. And let's look at that here. You see, we inject a header called the new header. We transform hello world. So now it demo you the simple. This is basic. The simplest customer policy creation and deploy and apply to API. All right. So now let's go to the exam question. What they might ask us. And first of all, let's run the apply the policy I had. In order to do that, let me close all this stuff. Close all. So hello world. remove this. So in my hello world A here, so you see I have a choice here, right? I say true equal to true. That means it will execute this, right? And let's change this to true equal to false. Okay. And now, so because I have the version, I think I need to increase the version here. I have 105. Let's increase to 106. So remember, this one is that it will, you see the A1, I did logging and then here, this one should be false, right? Always false. So this one should never execute it. So this is exactly what appeared in the practice exam. So this is a question here. You see that? The policy A is true equal to false, and policy B is like this, B1, B2, okay? So just for the purpose, let's look at policy B. So as you can see, I did this is the one I command this out and add logging B1, B2, right? So let's execute this. But first of all, let's build the policy A, right? So let's build. Okay, let's build the policy A, and oh, sorry. So remember here, we just need to do mvn deploy. Let's do a clean deploy. And also remember I did version 1.0.6. So there should be a new version. Let's see. So I'm not sure why, but this, you see that when you have some kind of logic, it takes a little bit longer. This is deploying. After deploying, he will check whether this is succeeded. You see, I say complete here, right? So once you see this, that's a complete, that means good. And also, they have some information here. You see that? Now you can check this policy here. Just for the curiosity, right? Let's go back and check this URL, see what happened. You see that? And version 106 here, this works, right? So that's cool. So, and you see that update 50 seconds ago. So what happened? I have policy now, right? Remember, I removed the policy. So go to policy. So I don't have A and B. Now let's remove this policy and remove it. Now let's add the policy. Let's add A. and B. Oh, we have to do once a time. Okay. So nothing to do here, right? You see that latest A is latest version 106, okay? And let's apply. And A is applied now, okay? So now let's apply B. So A applied. Now let's apply B. B, I have now changed B's version. You see still only one version here. So B is always there. I didn't change anything on B. So now you can see that I have A and B is here. So what I want to do, because in the exam he said you need to order one, B the second order, okay? So I'm going to order it now. B. Okay. Now A and B apply the order. So now I have A and B. Okay. And so all good now. And let's go back our studio to run it now. So let's clean here. Go to close all them. You can close all, okay, and close them and go Hello World API like this. So we don't need debug mode. We just run here. So remember, when we start this, right, it download the policy. So you may wonder, how do I know a download policy, right? So if you look here, if you look at what happened here, it applications, blah blah. It download everything to the local, and also you can go into this directory and you can check that policy. So that's why I know that we can probably we can get into more detail on this later on. But for the exam, it will not ask exactly how they download, what the download version look like. I don't that's different not in the exam. But for your understanding, you should know this. So now I apply the policy. Remember, policy A will run first, B will run the second if under normal condition. But this is not a normal condition. Let's see what happened. So remember that it before the body is like this, right? Now let's take a look. So let's send it. So you see, what is happening is I don't get anything really. And if you look the log, so okay. You see the log here, A1, A2. So what happened? The flow did not run at all. So how do I know that? So let's look at that. So basically what happened, it the listener here, right? He applied the policy. The policy say what the policy is saying, if is true, we should apply run it. If not true, we should not run this, right? So you see this? This was not. I suppose I should be able to log this payload, but did not run, right? So what happened? This is a pretty. You must understand that this is critically important. That's why in the practical exam. So that you see the answer should be D. Okay. So what happened under this situation? When the expression equal to false, it will never execute the flow, and then it will go here A2. So all the rest of the policy, because the order, right? When this policy is wrong, it will all the rest of the policy, all the flow, it will not run at all. So this is pretty important actually. If we can look the header here, we can look. Say, hey, if the header now contain that, we're not going to run. We're going to return some error, whatever, right? So this policy is pretty important. The exam has a purpose. Okay, now let's remove this. See what happened. And exactly the exam question. In my test, it did not appear the same as the practice. What had happened is something like this. So let's go place policy A. So go here. Let's change this to true. Okay. So let's save it. Okay, now what happened is that this always run the next. And so let me see if I have stopped the, yeah, let's stop here and clean this and go back to the hello world and go back to hello world here. All right, so now let's go deploy the policy. We need to remember increase the version. If we don't increase the version, it will not work. If you don't want to increase version, you have to delete the version. So, yeah, it's okay. So this is my POM file. This is not a big deal. So we need to go here. All right. So 106. I'm going to change it to 107. All right. So let's save this. And 107. And now let's go back, run this, clean and deploy. Actually, you need to understand Maven, how the Maven build, right? The sequence. There's an exam question talking about, Maven test, initialize. You need to understand initialize first, verify. There's one question on the Maven build life cycle. So make sure you understand that. So okay, now it's successful. So just for curiosity, okay. So, I mean nothing changed to 07, right? So let's go back here. policy, and 1.00. Interesting. Okay, so now 107 is here. Remember what we did is the policy A should always execute. And so there's another thing you must remember. Even we add this, you need to change here. It will not automatically change to the latest version. And so you can do this, right? But this one that do nothing will not change to the new version. And if you look at this, so configure, right? And if you look, it's still one, and you cannot change here, right? So the only solution as I know, you have to remove it, okay, and then add it back. So this is how I found it. I'm not sure. This one not in the exam. I don't think it will be there, but just make sure. Now you say 107, the latest one, and then apply. And you somehow he remember this, right? The order here, and then put on top. So this good thing. So now we have A, B, right, in the right order now. Now let's run the application. So, okay, let's run it. Should be fairly fast. So let's see here. All right, deploy now. See now after deployment, it will download the policy. Okay. Now I think it download all the policy here. Everything looks good. All right, now let's run it. So run it. Now you see the payload, right? This is exactly what I'm expecting. Why? Let's look. You see this one here? This is the same payload. So Gary123, Gary Liu, Gmail, blah blah, right? And everything looks good. Now let's look at the log console here. So you see what happened? The sequence, right? Policy A and apply policy B, and then really they apply all the policy. After finish all the policy, I just didn't all the out of box policy run after B, right? Everything finish, policy finish, and then execute our flow. Remember this sequence, right? So they apply all the policy and then execute our flow, and then it's just like a stack, right? You see, this is symmetrical, B1, B2, A2. So our execution is always in the middle. So this will for sure in the exam. You have to remember this. Actually, this is in the document. Now let's go. I think now you have I have show you the how you use it in the real life. Now let's take a look. In this reference, so this I will put this reference in the document. Actually, I think I put here. Yeah, I put the policy, exchange facet, custom policy. So I put there, and I need to put this dot link as well. So this explain how the basic structure, you need to understand this, right? And there are a few things that this is really important. The source means this policy will apply the inbound, right? When they come in, will apply the inbound. So you will ask, what happens if I want to apply to the HTTP request? That code inbound outbound is older version. We always I don't think that's the right word anyway. Using extension, yeah, outbound policy. So this is applied to HTTP request. Let's say I have that in my example. I tried that. So what happened is there is an operation. I mean, this document is not very. So what happened? This will apply to HTTP request. And oh yeah, so this is the order. I'm not sure. When I took exam, I studied this very carefully when I took the exam, and so all this, the order you need to know. It was not that this one is complicated. I mean, it's not complicated, but just remember, just like a stock. Stock is you. It's not a stock. It's like a queue. Yeah, it's like a queue. You put the A1, B1, F1, A3, B3, right? So it execute the policy before. Remember that execute next, right? If you put something before, it will always execute that logic before run the flow, right? Just remember that anything before this execute next or run before the flow, anything afterwards, it will execute after our main business logic. So there is a simple case that appeared in when I took exam here. Okay, so this is exactly what in the exam when I took it. So this one, you see that? Remember that. So one thing, remember, our business logic is always appear in the middle, unless if something go wrong. If remember 2 points, right? 1 point is that if anything policy go wrong, right, it's not true. Remember my first scenario. If anything wrong, nothing will execute. Policy, the rest of the policy, the rest of our business flow will not run at all. So remember that. And if it's normal sequence, but remember that even this business flow is not running, but this will run. Let's say I have A1, B1, and C, A, B, C, 3 policy, right? Let's say if I have policy C failed. So what happened is that will be A1, B1, no F1, right? Or B2, A2. So that might appear in the exam. So because this is the test you're understanding how the policy is executed. But I'm not sure. When I took one, it's relatively simple, but it did test you all the Maven stuff, right? You need to understand why we need to add this, what the purpose of this, right? For example, you need to answer. Remember, if I don't do that, it will fail. I got 401 error. So this, you need to understand what the purpose of this. And also, if you don't put that in the, this one should be the same ID, right? Should appear in the pom.xml file. So policy right here. So remember two places. One is here in the plugin, right? The other one is in distribute. So this one, in the first part of the demo, I show you. I have to change this. So they might ask you what happened if this is different. What happened if this is not exist in the setting.xml? So they might ask you this kind of question. But I remember there's for sure in the exam there's a question about what the purpose of this. So this is for our Maven to communicate with Anypoint platform, is communicate with Exchange. So you should remember that. And I think that should, if you go through this, go through my video, and then you go through all this document, right? Outbound policy. This for sure we will test. There's a question about this. How do you apply the outbound policy? It will test you. You have to answer is operation, policy operation. This will appear in the exam. And exception handling, it was not appear in my exam, but I think it will appear. So this need to be remember. There's different scenario here. Make sure you go through this. It's not difficult at all. Those are scenarios. So, but if you don't prepare this, there are about 4 questions. You should not miss this should not be missed because it's not that hard, right? And this, I think those questions will distinguish between the candidate who have prepared well or not. So I think different. That's why I put a pretty long video here. Anyway, I think if you go through this, you should be fine based on my experience. And all right. So we will have more sessions cover on Maven, and then we'll cover on the two-way SSL. That maybe I will cover that in next session. Yeah. All right. Now let's end this session. Good luck.